Hi, this is Ushio and welcome back to Echo. It is Sunday on Flynn's route and I don't know what is going to happen and what the hell that thing was that just flickered onto the screen, and everything is bad. We don't know if Chase murdered Sydney. Well, we kind of suspect that he did, but whether he did it because he was possessed or not. And the whole town just turned against us and, pulled a gun on us and it's got lynch mobs and stuff, and we have left. We are out of here. I stare into the rearview mirror, watching for any signs of taillights in our wake. Leo's driving, of course. Carl's feeling woozy after everything that happened. I wish I was sitting in the back with him, but unfortunately my legs are too long. That and Leo's van is clearly not designed for folks with thick tails, so I got a seat with my cheeks straddling the edge to make room. He's sitting in between Jeddah and TJ, with Dax and Chase in the back. There's been some chatter about what happened, about what's bullshit and not bullshit. TJ is the only one who's been quiet. Though one thing's for certain, with everything that's happened, everyone seems pretty focused on getting out of town. Leo doesn't floor it like I expected him to, but we move down the bench of the mountain and through the town speedily enough. I see Jenna look out of her window intently, and I can only imagine it's to see if she can spot Jeremy and maybe even her mother. Dude, I don't feel good. Chase got bit by a black widow and he's been complaining less than you, Cole. Speaking of which, how you holding up, Otter? Chase gives a half-hearted thumbs up, the mustard his forehead resting against the side of the window. Cole, just puke on the floor if you have to. I don't think Leo's going to stop. Cole leans over and puts his head between his knees, groaning. That gets TJ's attention, and he starts rubbing the ram's back slowly. Good thing smoothies probably aren't too bad on the way out. TJ frowns. I turn the dial on the radio, but like the cell phone signal, I'm not getting anything. For now, I just turn up the AC and aim it up toward my face. My head's still throbbing up a storm. This feels like a dream, doesn't it? Leo speaks softly, too quiet for anyone behind us to hear. I wouldn't know. You locked Chase in a spider-infested room and then lied to us about it? I sigh, crossing my forearms over the dashboard and leaning my face into them. I'm not in the mood for this shit, Leo. And then you risked your life to save him. Like with a gun and everything? Straight out of a scene in those westerns that we used to watch. Patent Access Channel, remember? The scooter guy back there reminded me of Deputy Jack from Tumbleweed Armadillo with his old speech. I crane my head up a little, raising a brow at the wolf. He seems pretty focused on the road. Daxton and Chase are muttering about something in the back of the van, but I can't make out any of it. But why? I mean, you could have finally gotten your revenge, or whatever, yeah? It's hard to read the big wolf's expression. He's certainly different than his previous bullshit persona as the creepy spring break patriarch. He seems old, way older than he actually is. Fucking hell, Leo, I don't want Chase dead. My tone comes out more tired and exasperated than genuinely angry. I just want the truth. Leo lets out a large breath through his nostrils and slightly nods. Yeah. To be honest, I didn't even think about Sydney when I set all this up, you know? Of course you didn't. Leo never really was one to dwell much on Sid's death beyond saying that he'd protect the rest of us because of what happened. Basically, he said shit was fucked up enough already, so you might as well try to stay positive and cherish what you've got now. What he had was otter ass, so I'm sure that made it easier. There's a long pause. And, what? I rub the back of my frilled head. Never mind. Nothing. Another long silence. Dax gives Chase a bottle of water, and Cole starts to play a game on his phone. A few minutes later, we're already passing the lake. So it's... Is it Sunday already? Sunday morning? That's what the clock says. What a fucking day. I don't say anything in response. We never got to ask Flynn's aunt about the thing. We could always go back and ask. What? No, I just, He's kidding, TJ. Oh. The lynx stares at the space between his leaves. Do you actually think she'd know anything about it, Flynn? I don't know. She and Mark knew enough about what happened with that body, though. Cole shivers and puts his head back down while TJ continues to rub his back. A few minutes of silence go by before Cole speaks up again. That feels kinda nice. Reminds me of my mum. Yeah, actually, my mum did it too. Thought it might help. Hey, I love you. Just so you know, all of you guys, I'm glad we're getting out of here. Fuck it, I'm going back to Pueblo. I raise a brow ridge at the ram. and I'm taking you with me. He points a thick finger toward me, leaning forward enough that he pokes me in the shoulder. I restrain a smile, instead letting out an idle grunt. Me? College? What a thought. The idea of being around guys my age and Cole? I'm not even sure what the hell I'd major in. Definitely not fucking political science. I squeeze my wrist, trying to refocus. I love you too, Cole, and everybody else. You too, Captain Daxton. Captain? Oh, I was promoted. Cool. Daxton seems distracted, watching Chase stare at his own fingertips. Yeah. Chase affirms his love for everyone with groggy monotone. Jenna glances back at them before turning her attention out of her own window. Leo doesn't say anything from the front, his focus solely on the road ahead of him. Are we at the clinic yet? Still about 20 minutes out. I watch the desert whip by us, for the first time feeling somewhat safe as the town disappears behind us. But, of course, it doesn't last long. What's that? On the side of the road there? Leo turns his head in the direction of something on the curb up ahead. We all do. What is that? Oh my gosh. TJ covers his mouth. Cole sits up straight, trying to see. And Leo slows down as we pass. There's Chase's car, all of the windows shattered. And there's Duke, lying a dozen feet away from the open door of the driver's side. And there, crouching over him, is something I can't explain. Hairless, body and limbs long. Way too long. The head comes up and all I see are 3 holes and blood. TJ screams next to me and Leo shouts something before stepping on the gas, slamming me back into my seat. I try to look back, but whatever it was is gone. At least, it's gone from where it was, because I see something move next to my window and I turn to face it, and it stares back at me, but only for a moment. That thing, whatever the fuck it is, disappears almost the instant I register that it's there. I'm only staring out into the blackness of the desert. Still, 3 holes, eyes and a mouth, blink back at me in a sort of after-image before that too vanishes. It's him, it's him, it's him, it's him! TJ reaches up and grabs my arms, claws out. I'm too shocked to even put away as TJ leans forward next to me, staring out of my window. At least I know I'm not the only one who saw that. TJ squeaks again when no one answers him. It's real? I don't know, some kind of animal, maybe? I've never seen anything like that before. Dude could have like a disease, lost all of its fur or something. Maybe Duke hid it. But it was walking. How is Duke here? He was back in City Hall. Maybe it dragged him? Faster than our car? How did he get Chase's car? I still have my keys on me. It's impossible. Could have hotwired it. I don't know, man. TJ leans back, looping his arm around Cole's, and I can see him shaking. I look over my shoulder, through the back window. Jesus fuck, just like Dax described. There, we've all seen it. It's how I remember, but I don't remember it ever moving that fast. Or with, blood. Jenna rings her paws together, speaking quietly. Her tone is thoughtful and worried, as if she's trying to rationalise this all to herself. Fuck, that's what got Salem, isn't it? Jesus, don't fucking take your foot off the gas, Leo. Leo doesn't respond, staring hard ahead. He's squeezing on the wheel so hard, it looks like it's bending. I pull back the hammer on the repeater, holding the rifle across my chest with the barrel pointing toward the window. I remember Duke's pistol that I stowed in the car door holder earlier. I grab it and toss it into the back seat. Jenna grabs it without hesitation, aiming it out the opposite side. This is freaking nuts. At this point, Chase's car is a good distance away, only visible because the headlights are on, a streak of light fading out across the desert. Duke's dead, isn't he? Oh, Cole's throwing up. Some dry retching noises, followed by a heavy splattering sound, cuts me off. Cole is hunched over in the seat, head between his legs. It isn't hard to figure out what just happened, especially when the smell hits me. Oh my gosh, Cole! TJ looks torn between blanching away and comforting the ram. Cole comes back up, looking like he's about to say something, before diving forward again. A much louder retch, followed by a much quieter plopping sound follows. I grimace, feeling my own stomach roll. God. Daxton's looking up at them, a paw up to his nose. Are you okay, man? Cole keeps his head down a while longer, his fingers twisting into the fabric of his shorts. TJ tentatively rubs his back. I would have done it out of the window. I don't want to open any of the windows now, though. It's okay, Leo. Are there any napkins up there? Leo, he's been silent up until now, remains silent. He's staring out of the windshield hard, paws on the wheel in the death grip. Chase, meanwhile, is clutching at his chest, his eyes red and bleary. He leans forward, and the sound of something wet hitting the fabric floor mat is audible through the cabin. Chase's puke sounds much less wet than Cole's. The wretch is more grotesque. I can practically feel the bile in my own esophagus. Dax stops what he's doing and holds Chase. Fuck. The otter manages to exclaim in between the bouts of puking. Drink some water. During all this, I'm still glancing out the windows. Not head on though, because I'm honestly fucking terrified I'm going to look straight into those eyes again. We drive in silence for the next 5 minutes, with no creature in sight, thankfully. But I don't know what to think right now. There's no way what I saw was some animal like Carl implied. The way it moved, the way it was crouched, the most of all, its face. I've never seen anything like it, at least anything that's not a Halloween costume. Maybe one of the locals dressed up in a costume or something. Is this some sort of shitty prank show, like that one on the science fiction channel? But then how the fuck did it keep up with the car? Were we going that fast? Leo did slow down a little. I'll keep those thoughts to myself. Everyone looks freaked out enough without any more speculation. I feel trapped, like I'm stuck in a metal box I can barely move in, with a gun I can't aim. If this thing can outrun and rip at cars, nothing's safe. I just have to focus. We're on our way out, and soon I'll be safe in the clinic, police station, or an applauding audience surrounded by a shit ton of cameras. If it's the latter, I'm decking the first fucker that comes out with a microphone. I try not to think about Duke by the car, Salem on the blanket, my aunt's out there trying to keep everyone safe, with that thing. I shake my head, trying to stay watch for any signs of movement. You okay, Chase? TJ's arms are still around Cole's, the lynx craning his neck to peer back at the hunched over otter. I've never been so friggin' scared in my life, but yeah, okay. Chase grasps at his throat and neck, wincing heavily. It's getting harder to breathe. Hold on, Chase. No, how can... What? The car lurches as Leo slows us down again. I squint my eyes, attempting to peer past the glare of the headlights' reach and into the darkness beyond. But I don't see anything, just the road stretching ahead of us. From the backseat, Chase's croaking, high-pitched voice pipes up. What's wrong? Leo's quiet for a moment. His face is blank, but ears are twitching. I don't... Leo turns in his seat, looking out the passenger window and then his own. I'm heading the right way, right? Why did we stop? TJ sounds panicked. The lynx turned around in his seat as he stares out the back window. It's the first time I've seen him in a car without his seatbelt on. Leo goes silent, a look of befuddlement crossing his red and white muzzle. He's looking to the mountains that surround Echo Canyon. We're not. Look. Jeddah scoots forward to the edge of her seat, pointing to something outside. The hills. Those were on our right side a while ago. We must have looped around. But we've been going straight the whole time. The only way we'd be going back this way is if we got turned around when we hit the main highway. But we haven't hit the main highway, have we? Chase presses his furry cheek against the window, his tired eyes bulging. What in the goddamn? He trails off. So we just seamlessly transitioned from going one way to the other without any of us noticing? No, Leo must have gotten off and turned around on that side of the road that there's no way. While trying to lean forward to get a better look at the mountains, Leo's elbow pushes down on the horn. TJ gasps, digging his claws into the fabric of his seat. Please don't do that. It was an accident, I swear. Okay, let's just be quiet, okay? Leo, we're going the wrong way. Jeddah speaks as calmly as possible, clearly aware that the tension in here is getting increasingly higher. Leo brings the car to a hard stop, throwing me forward into the seatbelt. Then he does a quick 3-point turn, shoving me right and then left before I'm smacked back into the seat as Leo accelerates again. I hear a soft thunk of flesh on glass, then a groan from the back, Chase rubbing his face with a sore-looking nose. Injury upon injury. Sorry, Chase. You okay? No. He responds back hoarsely, sinking back further into the scratchy fabric of his seat. Oh, same. Daxter does a curt nod. The wolf clutches the steering wheel with an iron grip. We both stare out the windshield, eyes to the horizon, and nobody says anything for a while. Even in the silence, I can feel the growing unease from those behind us, the trembling of muscles and clicking of claws. I try to block it out, to just focus on watching what's ahead. All things considered, it's not so bad as long as I can keep the fear from clouding my mind. Though, that could be said about most things in life. We just have to keep driving to get out of this fucking town. We can't get sidetracked again, especially with that fucking eyeless thing around. I wonder if it heard the horn earlier. I focus on the mountains now, making sure that they don't disappear. They slope up and down gently under the moonlight, speckled with the dark spots of rock and vegetation. Vaguely, I remember back when I was younger, leading Sydney around the bend and entertaining his explorer fantasies. I brought my BB gun and he'd run around, shooting at mesquite trees and looking for signs of lost native treasure. I told him that the pioneers thought there was a city of gold buried beneath the mountain as topsoil, waiting to be unearthed. He fucking loved that, even bought a little trench shovel, as he put it, and dug his own mine. Pretty sure he thought that was the whole reason for Echo's old mine, to find the city and shit. It wasn't a complete lie either. The Ahakta tribe supposedly told the conquistador types that treasures and riches were stored aplenty in the Mesita territory around here centuries ago. Of course, it was so they'd fuck off and bother their rivals instead of them, but the prospectors did eventually find gold in the mountains. All Sid ever found was some feldspar and alabaster quartz. He kept a whole collection uplink, staring out the window as the mountains just disappear, slope down into nothing. I squint, and then I look out Chase's window in the back. Sure enough, mountains. Leo. God damn it! Leo speeds up instead of turning around though. Dude. What are you doing? TJ's claws come out against my skin as he gets that scared cat look in his eyes. Leo mumbles, mostly to himself. There's no way this leads back to Echo. No way, yeah? Leo, slow down a little. Leo takes in a seething breath. Just trust me, okay? This is getting out of hand, but I honest to God don't have a fucking better idea. I'm gonna keep going until I see that car we passed. Judging by the silence, no one has any better ideas. Wait, isn't that where the super monster is? Fuck knows I don't. Another minute of driving, more awkward silence, and then... Leo hisses through his teeth. Straight ahead of us, a sign. What? How in the shit? Echo Mine, Danica entrance? That's on the other side of town. I say this as if it cannot possibly be where we're at, though there it is. It stands about 8 feet tall, faded wood with that touristy Wild West font placard that the county commissioned a couple years ago. The sign's only readable because our headlights are right on it, the original solar face lights having been destroyed by junkies a year ago. Leo thins his lips, driving right past it. The minutes pass, and it becomes increasingly difficult to place exactly where we are. On this side of town, I can see that smoke from earlier more clearly too. The smell, like burnt charcoal, seeps into the cabin through the AC. It's like a barbecue out there. Leo lets out a worried bit of laughter, though the wolf begins to pull off to the side of the road, only to flip around and go around the other way again. Jenna lets out a strange sigh. It's laden with exasperation, but there's a slight quiver in her vocal cords. We keep going, and more time passes. Daxter mutters something I can't quite make out to Cole, who's been oddly silent, his paws over his face. I occasionally catch Chase look at me in the rearview mirror. Despite his shit with a spider bite, he looks more, well, animated than I've seen him in a long time. There's a lot less staring off into the distance and more active grimacing, muttering softcore swears, and a darting gaze. I never realised how yellow his eyes are before. Were they always that bright? More time passes, and as we round a bend, Jenna crawls halfway onto the mid-seat console and points ahead. That's where Duke and Chase's car was? It's not there now. How can you tell? Daxton keeps craning his neck to see past me. The corner looks familiar, but where's the car? I remember that thing. Its silhouette was outlined against that group of pinyon trees by the guardrail. TJ makes a whining noise. I recognise it too. There's no broken glass, tire marks or blood though. Absolutely no remnant of the memory to be found. God, there's nothing there. Leo speaks softly, as if talking to a child. It's unclear whether he's glad or upset that the grizzly scene is straight up gone. That doesn't make any sense. Oh jeez. I look out the window. I'm just gonna watch the mountains. Let us know if they decide to flip around. He lets out a dry, terrified chuckle. Jenna returns to her seat, her eyebrows scrunched. It's like we're stuck in some kind of loop. Yeah. Jenna gives Daxton an inquisitive look, seemingly baffled anyone could find humour in this. What? It's just, well, it's nothing. Go on, we've got time apparently. Yeah, exactly, I mean. He exhales, shaking his head. In Adastra? Cole groans, his displeasure muffled by the pause over his face. Some kind of was always the go-to line of Captain Amicus whenever he encountered something he didn't quite understand. Daxton leans his head back, his bald noggin pushing into the headrest. Some kind of alien transporter, some kind of time paradox, some kind of matter replicator, some kind of reproductive goo, and so on. And this helps us how? Well, I don't think it does. It's just sort of funny, I guess. It's like I'm in an episode with a group of wacky characters. Wacky, huh? Jenna responds, monotone, as she returns her focus to the window. I'm just really glad I'm not alone. No one speaks after that. As the truck's engine pulls up another hill, I see something come into view through a clearing of cacti. Oh, fuck me gently. Echo mine, the Nika entrance. No. TJ whines. Leo slows down more and more until we come to a gentle stop. We sit there in silence, staring at the faded text and the gravel trail that leads into the canyon head. Leo starts muttering darkly to himself, looking out the windows and then at the dashboard. I don't ask him if he's okay, because I know what the answer is. TJ continues to make soft whimpering sounds, like he's trying not to cry. It's okay, it's just dark, and we're going off-road somehow. Leo whispers whatever comes to mind to explain what the fuck's happening. Carl still has his head down in his paws, completely quiet. He could be asleep for all I know. I think about suggesting that maybe we should just wait it out until the morning in the car, but as I open my mouth, I hear a scratching noise toward the back of the car. TJ's ears perk up, which lets me know that I'm not the only one. Instinctively, I turn around in my seat. Bits of glass fly into my face, and the next thing I know, I'm down in my seat, head down with my rifle raised toward the hole. Get down. Cole ducks, and Jenna and TJ lurch away to their respective sides of the car, TJ accidentally opening the car door, nearly tumbling out. Close the door, close the door. Can't manage just to get a hold of the links, trying to tug him back upright as TJ cries, flailing about. I can't get a good shot. Cole's big head bobbing up and around as something moves around outside toward the newly opened car door. A shot rings out. No, not from me. A wide-eyed looking Jenna holds her smoking pistol up and fires again. The sharp crack reverberates through the cabin once more. Cole, very much awake now, slams TJ's door shut and screams at Leo. Go, 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 go! Leo's already on it, and I feel the car jolt forward. And then I'm bouncing up and down in the seat as we go off-road, Leo not bothering with a 3-point turn this time, instead going for a full U-turn. We're back on the asphalt and speeding down the road when I feel it's safe enough to raise my head back up and look out the back window. For a moment, I'm terrified that I'm going to find that thing crouched on the trunk staring at us. But instead, all I see is a giant hole through the back window, the remaining glass jagged. Oh god, are you guys okay? Daxton looks back and forth between us and the road behind the van. Chase, meanwhile, looks like he's about to throw up again. His mustarded features are scrunched in a tight grimace as he presses himself against the seat. I sit up fully, keeping my sights trained on the back. Yeah, I yell at him over the sound of the car and the wind whistling around behind me. Jenna, did you get it? I don't know. Carl's bent over in his seat too, brushing glass from his hat and hoodie. I look at TJ, who's still crouched over his seat, covering his head. Bits of glass are scattered on his back and head. I pick some of the pieces out from the fur on his neck and lean over him. TJ, are you okay? TJ shudders and doesn't say anything as Jenna plucks some of the shards from under his collar. What was that? Daxton shouts back at us, staring through the window. Fuck if I know. I don't want to think about what I actually think it was. I just need to be ready if it comes again. Leo keeps up the high speed, hitting some of the potholes hard enough that I'm worried we're going to get a flat. Then we'd been in some real deep shit. We drive for another 5 minutes in silence, and then the sign appears in front of us again. This time no one says anything, and Leo doesn't bother turning around. I watch out my window as we fly past the historic path, but nothing happens. All I see is the tall piece of wood with the broken lights, and all I hear is the wind whipping around us. Jenna keeps a paw on TJ's back as he remains hunched over, the other still holding Duke's pistol. Cole sits quietly, staring out his window. On the bright side, the bashed-in back window has diminished the smell of sick, but the smoke smell is stronger than ever. Sparse dots of light show up on the horizon, indicating where Echo is, and that's when Leo speaks up. "Alright, that's it. We're heading back to my place, shutting off all the lights, locking the doors, eating toaster pastries until this all blows over." It's not the worst plan in the world for sure. I guess we have to. I'd rather not meet the same fate as that guy in the blanket, but yeah, I reckon that's sound. I shift myself onto one knee in the seat, the old thing creaking under my weight. I have to hunch low so that my head isn't smashed against the ceiling. I just have to pray that Leo doesn't hit any sudden big bumps. There's a sinking feeling in my stomach at the thought of going back into Echo. Part of me wonders whether Duke and Chase's car is still there, and we just imagined the whole grisly scene. I stare out my window, watching the hills move slowly by under the moonlight as we turn into Lake Emma Road. Maybe taking one of the mountain roads out of town would be worth it, whether we'd have enough gas when it happens. A crouched figure sits on the peak of a hill, just about 50 feet from where we are. I squint at it, just barely able to make out what looks like shoulders and a head hunched up under the light of the moon. Oh shit. I'm directly across from the thing when I open my mouth, but I'm barely able to make a sound when it moves. I'm just having a little peek. There is something up there. I don't like it, and it's moving. It dashes down the hill in the blink of an eye, covering the distance between it and our car in a matter of 2 seconds. One moment I'm staring at a tiny black figure, and the next it's right up against the car, smashing into the side between my door and Jenna's. My head smacks into the glass, and I see a flash of white. At the same time, I hear Jenna shout at us to hold on. TJ screams and Cole yells. The lake. I watch as water begins to pour in through the broken window, the jagged glass getting carried in with the flow. The van is already halfway submerged. We crashed in the fucking lake. How could that be? We're nowhere near it. The water is shockingly cold and rising up to my knees. TJ yelps something incomprehensible. I see Leo thrashing with his seatbelt, trying to get unbuckled, as the car battery shorts out and the cabin lights go dark. Cole! The hyperventilating ram splashes out behind. I can't open my door. I can hear the sound of door handles being yanked. I grab my own and press the unlock button and push outward, but the pressure of water is too much. It doesn't budge. I tried to wrangle my rifle to butt the glass, but my seat got pushed too far up by the impact. I can barely move with my chest pushed up against the dashboard. Straining to wriggle free, I end up scraping my head along the roof. Piece of shit. Goddamn my stupid lanky ass. Cole, use your head. I don't know what to do, dude. The horns, do the ram thing. I realise what Dexter's trying to say. Fucking species features, go Cole. Yeah, okay. There's a shuffling of movement followed by a hard slam. Glass shatters and more water comes rushing in. There's a flurry of movement out my window as first Jenna, then Cole and then TJ go through the window. Soon the water's up to my nostrils and my blood goes cold. I remember my uncle telling me something after we watched a movie with a scene like this. Until the pressure is equalised, you can't open the door. It doesn't stop me from wrenching on the handle regardless. I push my maw up to the roof and take a large breath before being fully submerged. The metal underbelly of the van scrapes against the rocks on the lake floor, which makes a downright horrifying sound underwater. With one hard push, my door finally opens and I begin to squeeze my way out. I look over my shoulder, seeing the faint outline of rust coloured in fur in the back of the van. Leo seemingly trying to get chase. My lungs begin to burn and I realise I can't see the surface. I kick my legs, trying to push myself off the slimy lake bed. The pressure on my eardrums are like drills pushing into my skull. The seconds pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And finally I break the surface. After a moment, the water splashes and Chase and Leo emerge from the depths. Leo, I'm a fucking otter, I'm fine. Guys. Cole pants, the ram appearing to be clutching one paw onto TJ's shoulder to keep afloat. He can't really swim well thanks to his hooves. TJ looks to be struggling to keep their chins both above the waterline. Where's Dude Man? What? Daxton! I don't know. Did anyone see where that thing went? We need to get out of the water. It can be in here with us. I know it. TJ's voice sounds like a mix of a whisper and a shout. Please. His voice cracks like a 12-year-old's as he stutters from a mixture of the cold water and shock. I look around the mess bobbing heads that surround me, but neither Daxton or whoever attacked us is anywhere in sight. In fact, land is like 100 yards away. How the fuck? Daxton! Dax! Cole, you need to stop yelling. Jenna's tone is hushed but firm, the wet fennec looking like a soggy mop in the moonlight. I noticed a glint of steel and realised she's still holding Duke's gun. I left mine on the lake floor. TJ's right, we have to get to shore. There's a coldness to her voice, one controlled by fear. It takes her a moment to realise what she's saying, and a horrible contortion of worry and guilt crosses her soaked features. Chase, can you get him? I don't know, I don't know. No way, you're in no condition. TJ looks down, opening his mouth to speak, but nothing but whimpers escape him. Fucking hell, he's probably still all the way down in the van. We gotta get him. He's a salamander, right? I know his kind can hold their breath a little longer than we can. Yeah, I don't know why the fuck he'd dawdle though. Chase, you're the only fucker here who can hold your breath that long. He can barely breathe as is. I'll do it. Cole pushes himself off TJ. I sink like a stone anyway. Is he this fucking stupid? I swiftly doggy paddle my way over, grabbing the ram's arm and forcing it around my shoulder. Yeah, you fucking will. And how's your stoned ass gonna get the both of you back up? I think I can. No way, man. Keep Chase upright for me, Flynn. The wolf rolls his shoulders forward and dives underwater. I quickly paddle over with Cole now clinging to my back. Chase takes hold of my outstretched hand, nervously peering into the depths below. He accepts the help, but he seems fairly alright with keeping himself afloat. We float there in silence. I try to see what's going on beneath the waves, but the visibility is frankly arse soup. Leo's never really been a stellar swimmer. Fuck, Chase wasn't even that good either, beyond not needing to come up for air for a long time. Better than me at least, and when the water gets cold, I start shutting down, I guess. My muscles are already starting to feel rubbery, and the urge for heat is strong. It's the worst in my feet, where the water's deepest and the moonlight can't reach. Fortunately, Carl and Chase are warm, the two clinging to me in silence. I could feel the ram's whiskered chin on the back of my neck, and Chase's shuddered breathing on my shoulder. Where at any other time, it might actually be comforting. But right now, I just hate the waiting. I hate not being able to do anything but tread water. I definitely hate not knowing what's out there in the hills, or how the fuck we even got in the middle of the damn lake. Aunties always warned me that the world's more than what we perceive, that our ideas of how reality works are limited to what we've experienced prior. I ain't ever been stuck in a fucking road time loop, attacked by a pissed off electrical socket man, or launched into the middle of a lake before. So everything kinda just feels a bit unreal. A full minute has passed now. Fuck. He should have surfaced by now. This is Leo we're talking about. He wouldn't have come up for air if he saw that Dudeman was stuck down there. God, this is so stupid. Jenna, TJ, help keep these two afloat. I'm going down. The fennec gives me a solemn looking nod. She begins to swim over to me when what seems like a geyser of water splashes up in front of us, followed by strained gasps for air. Daxton's blue eyes are wide, his slick form quivering in the wolf's arms. With a quick shove, the salamander jolts free and begins to swim to shore with gasping panic. We all follow suit, though I end up quickly behind, trying to support Carl and Chase. Daxton's the first to the shore, then Jenna, TJ, Leo, and finally us. All my adrenaline is completely tapped out at this point, and I fall to my knees in the sand. My arms are like jello. Thanks, Flynn. Chase uncoils himself from me, his voice wheezy, and breaks out into a raspy cough. Leo quickly hurries over, taking Chase under his arm. Easy, we're safe now. The fuck we are. I peer around. Even with my eyes having adjusted to the dark, I'm still having a hell of a time seeing beyond 20 yards or so. Jenna gives me a quick nod, holding up Duke's pistol to show me that she still has it. The soaked fennec would look comical were it not for the direst of situations. She must put so much conditioner into her fur to keep it that fluffy. Yeah, thanks, dude. Cole proceeds to fall flat on his back, spread eagle with the sand, his hefty gut rising and falling. Yeah, well, everyone okay at least? He didn't deserve... TJ mumbles something, the lynx sitting with his arms around his knees, staring out into the lake. He makes an effort to scramble back a few feet as the tide comes in. Jenna moves over beside him, hugging the lynx from the side. Okay, we just need to get to Leo's. Leo lives on the outskirts of town by the old railway tracks. It's fairly isolated from the rest of the town. Going there is not the worst idea, but if that fucking thing could catch us in a van going at 50... Fuck, I saw how it moved. Like a strobe light was being turned off and on, and it got closer with every pulse. That is still the plan. Leo affirms this with a nod, the wolf standing upright and ready. He's trying not to show his exhaustion and fear. TJ's looking at Chase now, and he's got a shimmer in his eyes, and he's crying again. Chase, did Sydney... How long did he... He's cut off before he can finish. Come on, TJ. We have to go. Chase looks over at him. His expression is harder to read. He's just weak. What? Everyone seems to be pretending they're not hearing the whimpering TJ, ushering him along. I rise up to my feet, nearly tripping over myself as I get used to the solid ground again. Jenna pulls TJ up with her, trying to move the lynx along. We'll get you laid down here in a bit, Chase. I'll see what meds I've got in the cabinet. Leo also follows suit, helping Chase up the shadow incline through the loamy salt into a basin of dry grass. TJ peers back over his shoulder. He's still looking at Chase. And that's when I notice a large rock with a sole pinyon tree overhanging it. There's little bullet holes in the side of the trunk, a .22 caliber. I made those. I look around, and right where Carl's laying, I see it. His blank stare, the blue eyes, he reminded me of a fish. This is where it happened. Carl sits upright, still clearly trying to catch his breath. At first he doesn't seem to understand, but then the realization hits him as he sees the tree. Oh shit. Carl rises up on his hooves, gawking at the tree. He's still. That thing I saw when I wrecked my car, the one that brought us here just now, it did it for a reason, you know. I mean, I used to think my house was haunted. That it comes with the territory of big spooky mansions. But maybe it's us. Carl extends out his paws to his surroundings. I assume he means the whole group. I sigh, feeling rather vulnerable out in the open without my repeater. The hysteria is affecting the whole town. Everyone goes crazy in their own way. It's what my aunt always told me. And it even got her in the end. I wonder if she's okay, or if they found some other poor schmuck to blame the end times on. Then why are we all seeing this? He gesticulates with the sole of his hand to the tree and then the lake itself, before letting his arm fall limply at his side. We're all here for a reason. We meet each other's gazes, and Cole suddenly lets out a small chuckle, rubbing the space between his horns. Unless I'm just imagining you seeing this. I let out a puff of air and rub my face. You're dreaming about me, huh? Seems like it. He shrugs. Next time, cut out the horror games before going to bed, yeah? I haven't seen a single zombie. It's bullshit. He looks toward the lake and sombers. Just kidding. Yeah. I'm not immediately sure what to say. In the distance, the group looks to be trudging through the dried up reeds and heading toward the train tracks down the pass. They're not waiting for us, which I guess is understandable, noting Chase's condition. Carl's watching them too, though he doesn't seem overly antsy to rejoin them. If Sid were, a ghost or a spirit or something, he wouldn't hurt us. Carl looks a little surprised, shifting his attention back toward me. What makes you so sure? I can tell by the tone in Cole's voice that he doubts that. I remember Cole was really sensitive growing up, sheltered by his folks something fierce. He'd cry and eat and cry, was basically a fat, spoiled TJ. It took me a while to figure him out, and for Sid, he didn't really have much grace with the sensitive types. He was cool. I know you two never got along, but he had things rough at home. He loved hanging out with the group and all. Hell, he thought TJ was cool. What? No way. Well, he never said as much plain like, he just wanted to be him, I guess. To believe God was real and had a plan, to be good without having to try so hard. To have folks who gave a shit about him. Dude, those last 6 months. I think back to Chase's words. I know, he wasn't himself, not really. After a long pause, he shrugs. If you say so, I'll believe it. I was different then too, I guess. I was just a child, and now I'm a man-child. Yeah, I wave off the thought. At least Cole seems calmer now, or at least is doing a good job of blocking out the terror. He's still got his tie on, though his shirt's completely soaked through, and I can see his chest underneath when he faces the moonlight. Man, if this wasn't real, anything he'd want to say to not real me. Without hesitation, Cole speaks. Not a real big fan of fishing, dude. I furrow my brow at him and sigh, before beginning to trudge through the sand after the others. I can't even see them now. They must have picked up the pace. Dude. I stop. His voice is softer and apologetic. But I like when you take me out, even if it seems like I'm whining the whole time. There's no seems like about it. You do whine the whole time. A brief sad smile crosses his thick muzzle. Are you guys still here? The salamander peers at us worriedly. Carl and I exchange glances and nod. Good, that's good. I lost the group. I don't know where Leo's house is, and they kept walking faster, and then they just, Daxton toys with his zipper at the bottom of his hoodie. Must have gotten ahead of me. It's okay. I think we're supposed to be here. Right, dude? Cole looks at me. I cross my arms, unsure how confident I feel about this whole tapping into paranatural hunches. I don't know. It's just a feeling. The thing could have killed us easy like and didn't. Instead we're here. Daxton gives Cole and I a nervous look, clearly putting a wide berth between him and the lake. Okay. He seems jittery, which I suppose is valid. I can't believe Leo actually rescued you. I grunt, trying to rub what feels like lake gunk out of my eyes. Why do you even need saving? You're a natural water boy. Daxton rubs the back of his neck, his eyes flicking up as he tries to clearly recall whatever the fuck happened to him. I was trying to save you. His tone's concerned, the salamander peering at me as if afraid I might crumble in front of him. The hell you were. I got out of there on my own like 2 minutes before Leo dragged your slimy ass up from the depths. I thought I saw you drift off further down into the lake. You weren't moving. Any time I tried to grab you, you just drifted further off, always with your back facing me. Eventually I couldn't see anymore. It was too dark. He rubs his hands over his biceps rapidly, trying to warm himself. He exhales, looking briefly at Cole and then back to me. I'm sorry, I don't really understand what happened. There's not a lot going on right now that I can really explain. Which makes the three of us here. So, where's here, exactly? This is where our friend died. Well, where he drowned and later died in a hospital. Cole's bluntness takes even me off guard. There's no coldness in his tone though, it's just the truth of it. That's terrifying, and I'm sorry I asked. After a moment he speaks again. And I'm sorry for your loss. I feel like this past week I've just been a dingleberry on you guys. It's okay. It's cool that you're here. Everyone goes quiet. Daxton occasionally looks over his shoulder to see if there's any sign the group sends someone back for us, but no such luck. I'm starting to realise how exhausted I am. Coasting on adrenaline for an hour straight will really take the wind out of you. I lower myself first to a squat, and then sit cross-legged in the sand. Despite all the water and vegetation, the air still feels kinda dry and smoky. I wonder where that fire's coming from. No response. I look over, and Carl and Daxton are sitting together, watching the tide. They look as tired as I am. What do you want to happen here? Carl eventually speaks, his tone droll and somewhat monotone. I look toward the tree with all the bullet holes. I want to know what happened. They're gone. I spy the arse prints of Carl and Dax in the sand next to me, but they're nowhere in sight. I quickly rise to my feet, hesitant to call out to them, noting what happened earlier. I move up to the top of the hill next to us, stepping through the dry grass. As I look around, I see no movement beyond the rolling tide of the waves, illuminated only by the slight moonlight. Fuck. My whole plan of waiting here for something to happen seemed a lot better when I had the others around. Now that I'm alone and unarmed, my gall is starting to fucking wane. They must have went to Leo's house. I mean, surely they'd fucking wake me first, right? Did I even pass out? It felt more like I just blinked, and then bam, gone. For a moment, it feels like something's tugging the back of my shirt. I turn, expecting to see the bulbous face of Cole at my side, but there's no one there. Hey, arseholes, where are you? I let out a harsh whisper, directed at the desert scrub around me. Again, no response. I sigh, rubbing my palms over my face. There's no choice. I gotta get to Leo's. My gaze drifts back to the beach and the bullet-ridden pinyon tree. I'm struck with a strange sense of solace, as if the spot would be somehow tranquil to me if circumstances were different. For now, I take stock of what's still in my soggy pockets: keys, phone, which is dead as hell and probably fried, and an old granola bar wrapper. With a grunt, I make my way off to the beach and head toward the trail tracks. I follow the familiar route, passing the occasional abandoned freighter car. It's been about 15 minutes, and so far no sight or sound of the gang or any other miscellaneous townfolk. I inadvertently find myself walking on top of the rails, balancing like I'm a kid again. It kinda keeps the edge off and softens the noise of my footsteps, though it's not very time efficient. It feels like by now I should be able to see Leo's house, but so far nothing. It isn't until the tracks dead end perpendicular to the highway that I realise that I'm being fucked with again. I stand at the edge of the pavement, where the old bike lane had been overtaken by weeds, pavement grumbling to gravel. I'd hoped that the spatially fucky shenanigans would end once we exited the van, but goddamn, why would it? You're going the right way. The back of my skull tingles and I cup hands over the sides of my head. That wasn't my goddamn thought. To Leo's? I ask aloud, like the fucking loony I am. I wait, and no response. I clench my fists to my sides. Fuck it, fuck this! I take off and run down the road, keeping the power lines on my right. I run mindlessly, knowing damn well the nature of the loop, but trying not to think about it. I'm not usually the sort to do my running in echo on account of the centuries worth of broken glass that lines the sides of the roads. That, and the fact that the sight of a 6'7" Gila sprinting tends to naturally raise alarm, even with folk who already know who I am. Somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour passes before I see something ahead. I stop somewhere along the centreline of the winding old highway, the cracked asphalt feeling like it's chipping away at my already blistered heels. I stare at the faded red building. My truck is parked in the front for some reason. Why the fuck am I here? Right, why do you come here? The voice in my head is clearer than before, like some harsh whisper coming from inside the back of my neck and slinking its way into my head. It almost feels like I thought the words myself. Is that a fucking clue? It's a mystery. My thought was rhetorical, and hearing it respond so aptly takes me off guard. I clutch my throbbing head in both hands. I've gone full fucking schizo. When the weird shit's on the outside, it's one thing, but on the inside. I grimace, bracing myself against the gates in front of me. Gate? There's no gate in front of this place in real life. I take a closer look and see the entire place is fenced off, like some kind of high security complex. A tarnished rebar gate is the only entrance point, my truck just on the other side. It's only about up to my chest in terms of height, though it's got security spikes about every foot along the top. A single key lock is all that keeps each side of the gate together. It doesn't look too sturdy. I either truck through the bars and then check to make sure I still have my keys in my pocket. Sure enough, I feel the familiar leather saguaro keychain between my fingers. Okay, try your keys on the gate lock or break it. I mean, I've got a key. Go on. Without even thinking, I take up my keys, flipping through to the ones for City Hall. I grab the sides of the lock and push in the key, twisting. To my surprise, I keep turning my wrist without resistance and hear a soft click as the fastening point becomes unlatched. I stare at the lock, feeling some fleeting sense of accomplishment. It soon falters as I note that the lock being there in the first place doesn't make a lick of sense. So, hang on. Just a second. So if Flynn's hallucinating, does that mean he thinks that he's unlocked something in this area, but he's actually unlocked what that key was originally for? So he's actually back at City Hall? Is that where he actually is now? We'll find out. When the fucking fuck? Also, the tips of my fingers that were grabbing the lock appeared to have been stained black, paint of some kind. Someone must have painted the lock recently, though the fence itself still looks pretty faded. I wipe my hands off on the back of my pants and push open the gate. It only opens about 6 feet wide, nowhere near enough room to get my truck through. If I revved hard enough and gunned it, I could probably break through, though I've got a feeling that's not what I'm supposed to do. There's not really a fence in front of this place. This isn't fucking real, but I am seeing it. So why am I seeing it? That's the fucking question, right? Duke's words from earlier come to mind. The thing is, we've all got something after us, something bad. Won't let you leave when it starts. What's after you? As if knowing would fucking help right now. If not, just be even more confusing in the long run. I half expect the voice from earlier to speak again, but it's silent, just a dull throb in the back of my head. The smart thing to do, the logical thing, as Dags would put it, would be to sit down under a nice tree and just ride this out like a bad trip. Maybe get some sleep, that could fix it, like turning a computer off and on again. I peer up at the sky. The red lights from the building make it seem as though the sky itself was blood red, expanding to various pinkish hues to the horizon. Like fucking hell, I could get a wink in during this shit. The pounding in the back of my skull just keeps thudding away, a constant beat that reverberates through my head like a cavern. I step up to the door with an engraved bit of signage next to it. Here for the seed. That, of course, isn't what it usually says. The cheeky ass winking smiley face is still there, though. I let out a short sigh. You fucking idiot. I turn the handle and pull, but it doesn't budge. I push next and still nothing. The handle shouldn't turn if it's locked. I don't know, I've been here before when it was. I push once more, and I'm surprised that it gives, the door opening. I only leave it open a crack, still a bit wary about whatever weirdness lies within. The first thing I notice is the burning smell. It's stronger than it is outside. It's hot as hell too. If this place had a kitchen, I'd swear something was being overcooked in it. And it's quiet. Nothing but the creaking wood beneath my feet. And then, music starts to play. I notice the boxy television set in the corner of the room's turned on, a grainy old cricket match on the screen. It's all very much the same from what I remember, except for a lone otter sitting at the bar counter. He's holding something to his head, an ice pack, and he's nursing some shitty import pale ale in his free paw. There's no one else in here but him, at least in the front area. Hey, you. The otter's posture stiffens. Yeah, you. Are you real? What? He responds back, his tone exasperated and groggy. Confusion, that's a good sign, I guess. I step a little closer, the otter using the bar counter to rotate himself in his swivel bar stool. He's decked out in a skull t-shirt, cargo pants, and one of those lame scout caps that only jarheads, leather daddies, and theatre kids wear. He seems dazed, squinting at me like I'm a bright light. Someone tuning up an orchestra in here? What? After a moment, something seems to click and his eyes widen slightly, a long smile crossing his snouty muzzle. Motherfucker. He pushes himself to his feet, making his way through the bar's haze. What you doing here, you big ass bitch? He claps my shoulder roughly and then pulls me into a tight hug. For an otter, he's got a strong grip, and I actually irk aloud as he pats my back. The fuck? The hell are you doing? After a moment he pulls away, raising a shadow brow beneath his hat. And then I notice his eyes, baby blue, almost grey. Not a common colour for his kind of otter. There's some bags under them though, like he hasn't slept in some time. I was fixing to ask you the same thing. It's been dead all night, and I wasn't expecting company. It's kinda unreal seeing you here like this though. It's been... He huffs, astonished, and with a slight air of sheepishness. Well, a while. He folds his arms over his chest, the otter looking up at me from beneath the brim of his hat with a sort of wry expression. He seems happy to see me. And it's all so familiar. Wait a second. I blink. Jesus fuck, Sid? He lets out an amused noise, nodding. Yeah. Wait, don't you even try to tell me that you're here by coincidence. He's an adult, fucking 6 foot tall, I'd reckon. He's in shape too, rocking a full-on muscle shirt. I look around, as if expecting to see Chase round a corner with a video camera and a shit-eating grin. But there's still no one around but us. I'm sure there's a reason I'm here. He seems to perk up some, doing a one-handed finger gun gesture my way, while the other nurses an ice pack against his head. Knew it. I mean, I'm glad, yeah. Did you get my Christmas package? I wasn't sure you'd like it. Saw them in the Macy Maze thrift down at Elwyn. Haunted Hacienda, Deadly Rivals II, Final Obsession, The Choir Boy, The Horse Sleuth, Shitty B movies. I got them all from the bargain bin. You know the sort. Not a lot of plot to get in the way of the film. Plus, I bundled them up with a bunch of Crossfire shooting mags. Oh yeah, I also threw in some jerky I got from a trade show after my match in Desert Springs. The jerky is super good. Hatch green chili flavoured. You know, that's where they grow that shit en masse, right? World capital. I can't help but stare, absolutely flabbergasted. This is what he'd look like. When I don't immediately respond, his smile dissipates some. Maybe you didn't get it? Fucking delivery guys, right? Probably some weasel or something with a good speller. He honks his own black nose, pining for my jerky. Okay, am I fucking dreaming right now? Am I asleep or just tripping? The otter, Sydney, he's looking at me more worriedly. You, wanna sit down or something? I look around at the still empty bar. Facade or not, my legs are killing me. Sure. He motions towards some old wood and velvet bar stools next to a raised table in the corner, and we take our seats. After Sydney grabs his drink, of course. I don't know where the bartender went. He's usually in the back. I look toward the smoke room door. Nothing seems to have changed about it. He? Yeah, he. Big tugger fella. Only guy who works here, as far as I know. He scrunches his brow, thinking for a moment. Unless he got a sex and species changed to become a beach blonde bunny with a big bouncing tits, I don't think so. I grunt. The hell's he talking about? He was into dressing up in chick panties, but I don't think we're talking about the same person, or the same bar. Sid smirks, looking at me, a little wide-eyed. Thinking about one of your gay bars, right? The fuck you talking about? This is the gayest bar in the state. If this were real, there'd be 20 fucking dudes reaming each other behind that door as we speak, including the bartender. I point to the familiar no smoking labelled door, my tone more firm now. Including you? His comment has a derisive, teasing tone. After a second he blinks, looking back over his shoulder to see what I'm pointing at. You been porking guys who go to clown school? That's a goddamn tiny janitor's closet. Says so on the door. I squint at the door. For a brief fleeting moment, I can almost quite make out the little mop and bucket symbol posted in the centre, but it's simply not there. I honestly don't know why I came here tonight. I guess I just had a good feeling about it in my gut. And by that, I mean I saw the picture outside for the Chipotle dusted beer nuts, and my stomach got a boner. And I guess it also worked out, since I got to see you. He thrusts his arm toward me, trying to put on a cheeky sarcastic grin, like he's trying to play off the statement, as he realises how sappy it sounds. There, to my knowledge, has never been advertisements for spiced beer nuts posted outside the bar here. Jesus. I slowly back into my chair, letting out a long exhale. It's real good to see you too, more so than you probably know. He opens his muzzle to speak again, but I cut him off. Sid, where do you think we are? He takes a swig from his beer, peering at me for a long moment, before examining his surroundings. It's, you know. He snaps his fingers a few times. The beer nut place? He frowns, shifting his ice pack back to his noggin. Fuck, I'm not that sauced. I just hit my head real hard on the counter when I was bending over to pick up my phone. Shit, did we have plans to meet here? I genuinely don't fucking know. I sure as fuck didn't. I trade off for a moment, swallowing away the tight feeling in the back of my throat. I pull my phone from my pocket, turning it over in my hands. It's still dead. I wasn't expecting to ever see you again. His blue eyes widen, the otter giving me that same doe-eyed look he'd give me after we'd been hanging out, and I say I have to go. He never wanted to go home. Look, I know after I bailed on the interview you set me up with, you were pretty pissed. Rightfully so too. Fully justified, I get it. I know. I fucked up. What? I'm trying to get clean, I swear to shit. It's just so fucking hard, you know? You're on drugs? No, I mean, not right now. I'm sober as fuck. I look to the ale in its pour. Sans the booze. Look, all the other guys I wrestle with at the road shows though, they're all on that shit. Everyone's trying to bulk up and stuff, so they actually get a pop when the crowd sees them. His tone is completely defensive, the otter looking me straight in the eyes, searching for any sign of doubt. There's this one guy, Cody Altaro, or well, he goes by the name Rico Renaissance now. He's been getting booked as my rival, and the bastard's up £25 in 2 months. 20 fucking £5? No way in fuck is he doing that with chicken breast and protein shakes. Wait, you're telling me you wrestle for a living? That would explain the muscle shirt and those tacky ass wristbands. Like, that's your actual goddamn job. Sydney leans back some, still peering at me with that same searching look. Yeah, you used to go to my shows all the time. SFF? Sunday Funday Fights? It's mainly fucking juggalos and shit now, and we get paid in pennies and grass, but, you know, it's a start. I'm tough. He sniffs, eyes drifting down to his arms on the sticky table surface. He doesn't seem grossed out by it. Ryan told me they never clean up the front anymore. Said not to touch the underside of the tables, since they're packed solid with two things, gum and cum. I notice patchy areas in his fur, near his inner elbows, and it takes me a moment to register. He's got fucking injection marks. He seems to see me staring and pulls back his arms. I gawk at him for a moment, Sidney bracing himself for whatever I'm about to say. It gives me a sinking feeling in my gut, but it makes sense. With the shit Sid dealt with growing up, every sign was pointing toward him getting some sort of chemical addiction down the road. It ain't just roids though, is it? Yeah, well, you know me. I take some shit for, you know, the mental stuff. Mental stuff? I'm assuming it's not prescription. You assume correctly. He speaks slowly, twiddling his thumbs in his lap, his eyes dancing from the bottle in front of him to me and back again. I'm not sure what to say. We just sort of sit there in awkward silence. I know you never really understood all the fucky stuff going on in my head. I just want to thank you for sticking around as long as you did. I can't say the same for anybody else. I'm not really an easy person to have the back of, especially when I'm one person 1 minute and another the next. I remember the shit Chase was talking about earlier, about the incident at the ice cream place in Pueblo. The way he just clicked and changed. He continued speaking, after shifting his thick tail listlessly behind him. And tell your roommate Dax thanks as well. I know you'll both really try to help me get a stable job at the print shop. But fuck, it would never have worked out. A schizo like me can't hold a position like that. Instead of Cole, Sydney was the one I would have been helping. I realised he's still out there, caught up in all this hysteria without me while I'm stuck in this place. Sid, this isn't real. The otter gives me another strange look. He clearly was expecting me to be acting much differently than I am now. Like he'd been preparing to speak to me for some time now, and I've completely derailed his plans to get a lot of the shit he wanted to say off his chest. You're not real, I'm just fucking dreaming right now. I thought you couldn't dream. You used to get annoyed as hell with me when I'd go off about the shit I dream about. Yeah, well, I am now. How would you even know what a dream was if you had one? After all, you look more like you just woke up. I shake my head, watching the blurry brown and black form in front of me shift from side to side. I keep expecting him to just not be there when my vision refocuses. Look, let me just lay this shit out plain like. You can't be here, you're dead. You drowned over a decade ago in Lake Emma, and I think Chase did it. Or at least, I think he did. Sidney looks uncomfortable, as if the slight semblance that this is all some elaborate fun ruse I'm putting on him is looking increasingly unlikely. Okay, well, that didn't happen, no nuts. And Chase, that twink, couldn't hurt a fly. He sighs, rotating his half-empty bottle of pale on the table and smearing the ring of condensation that forms beneath it. I'm right fucking here, and I just want to talk to you. His tone turns terse, hurt even. No shit, bird, you died. TJ saw 2 bodies with brown fur writhing in the water before you drowned. They all thought you died on your own somehow, like you passed out or some shit, but I knew better. I see a flicker of realisation in Sydney's eyes, and again he shifts uncomfortably. I think I remember what you're talking about. But I'm not dead. I'm here, motherfucker. Feel me. He reaches across the table and takes my wrist, squeezing hard. It's like he's trying to give me an Indian burn like he used to. I yank back my hand. Fuck off. He stares wide-eyed at me, his maw slightly agape. A moment passes before he speaks again. Why are you acting like this? Like you can't fucking enjoy goddamn company. Plus, you're so damn intense. You're not even high right now. This isn't fucking fair. I'm your goddamn best friend. Hell, you're like my gay, scaly brother. You can't fuck with me like this. This is too real. I quickly shake my head and close my eyes. You're dealing with me right now, not the thing inside my head. And that's fucking becoming a rarer and rarer thing these days, so I'm just really trying to enjoy what time I've got. Just talk to me. I don't want to think. He trails off, staring down at his lap. Think about what? There it is. The change. I heard a click. The music seems to sound further and further away, until it dissipates entirely. Ah, maybe you're right, Flynn. The fuck you talking about? The sick heat, left forgotten in conversation, began crawling up my back. Grabbing onto the table to help maintain my own posture, it's clear that something has shifted. The little bit of light in Sid's eyes, just gone. 2 bodies. What? 2 bodies, right? I remember now. Man, that shit fucking sucked, didn't it? Shifting uncomfortably, the topic had reversed onto what he'd previously denied. 2 bodies, Sid. You're fucking dead. I saw you. I looked you in the face, and I saw nothing. I gripped the edge of my seat, my gut feeling like it's twisting in on itself. It's like I'm standing in front of a roaring fireplace, the smell of smoke and fresh ash licking my nostrils while the heat tickles my scales. Sid is gone forever, and all that's left is this. Who are you? It feels different to me. The thing that isn't Sydney looks around. This is not the smoke room. It looks like it, but not to me. The otter continues to stare off to the side before seeming to realise I asked a question. Sam, I am. While he speaks, he points toward you, across the table with both hands. There's something metal in his grasp, long and with a barbed end. I can't make out what it is exactly. I swallow and try to speak evenly. Who's Sam? A facsimile of a person that was. I'm dabbing myself with ink so I never dry, but it smudges. Okay. This photo. The photo's changed. Oh no. A simulation. In here, I become we with you. Me. Pot parats. No, I'm not sure I hear that first part correctly. At first they came through the gate, then they came through the stars. There's a pause. Did they come for you? He looks at me, and I feel my legs begin to shake. I tremble, wishing I was anywhere but here. The others before, they bounce, undulating in constant, restless motion. The hollowed figure heaves, breathing heavily as he sways Sid's body up and down. He stares at me with eyes that remind me of the fish Carl and I catch at the pond. But that's not what you want. You want the answers? After all, it's a bit late for love, and too still for lust. I just fucking need to know what happened to Sydney, so that this hysteria stops and that everybody else is safe again. That could help. But are you sure you really want to know? You could chase the truth until you're red in the face. The thing looks over toward the smoke room door. What was once Sydney raises his arm to point at it with unnatural stuttering movement. It ebbs and flows like the tide. You can ride it. Each time the tide comes in, it's a little less of what it once was, abstracted. It goes where sorrow sprouts, and takes with it what it can before rolling back out. Some tides are particularly large. He waves a blurred paw at me, and again I see the metal thing grasped in its paw. He seems to see me looking at it, and holds it in front of me. You burn them all down around you, until only the truth remains. You needn't, the superfluous kindling, for those are but the lies they tell others, and eventually themselves. You'd make a good detective if you weren't marinating in your own nepotistic squalor. Unlovable, shameful, a sin to all who initially cared for you. Truly, only belonging amongst the sawdust, semen and ash, thoughts drowned out amidst the moaning and groaning of unfamiliar shadows. The only one who precisely knew you, who precisely loved you, ushered into the tide by those you thought fondly of. And justice denied again and again and again. He presses the barbed tip of the rod onto the table. There were 6, now there's 5. The distorted otter is looking at the thing in his grasp as he says this. It's a fire poker. I hesitate to speak, my mouth feeling dry and my forked tongue caught between my teeth. Yeah, I get it, but... Well, with what I saw with Sydney, was that real? Could be. Somewhere in here. He seems to be referring to the poker. I reach for it, but my hand can't quite touch the metal. It phases right through. The hollow thing just stares at me, watching my futile attempt. Slowly, I rise to my feet, my legs gelatin-like as I wobble some. I manage to steady myself with my tail, grasping the sticky table for support. The distorted otter just watches me, somehow almost looking eager. With no small amount of trepidation, I begin approaching the smoke room door, the sound of crackling flames growing louder the closer I get. This has to be it. The alternative being doing nothing, which, while real damn appealing, probably wouldn't stop what's going on outside. If that's how this works, that is. I grasp the handle. Fuck me. Many have. I stop, looking back over my shoulder. The figure is leering closer now. Fuck you too. As I turn back to face the door, I swear I see this shape smile. I turn the knob and step inside. The air is absolutely electric, and I feel myself involuntarily shiver. I brace myself against the wood-sided walls, staring through the darkness. I've never seen it this empty before, and I get the sensation in my gut that something terrible happened here. Looking back, I don't think the shape followed me. I'm still here. God damn it, leave me alone. I feel my blood chill, but keep moving. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. This version of the smoke room is impossibly large. I keep walking through the darkness, expecting to reach an end, but it doesn't happen. It just keeps looping in on itself. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be looking for. I hear a sharp crack, a gunshot, followed by a low cry, someone's wailing. It doesn't sound like it's coming from inside, but rather a reverberating noise outside, far away. The whole room begins to vibrate, as if activated. The rumbling. It's stronger on one side of the room, and so I walk in that direction. As I approach, I hear more wailing and more voices, some sounding different and rather close. Flynn! Now there's huffing and panting, the sound of hooves and soft feet upon the stone floor. They're trying to catch up to me at the other end of the long, cavernous hallway. The rebar from before, Jesus, I'm not in the smoke room. I'm in the mines, and it's very, very hot. I feel my whole body rumble, like shockwaves are bouncing my insides. Kinetic energy, electricity, like 1,000 subwoofers reverberating from the stone walls. We're here. The source. The seed. Dude. Stay back. Initially, it's like a cold shower, an icy sensation that presses against my front and washes over me like a tide. I recoil, but there's nowhere to withdraw back to. At first measure, the body is unable to discern extreme cold from extreme heat, though that time soon passes, and the burning feels all too real. I can feel it seep in between the cracks of my scales and lick at the more vulnerable flesh beneath. I'm standing in a fire, but I don't see it. I see nothing. I can't even tell where it's coming from. Wherever I go, the burning follows. The fabric of my clothes ripples and the seams begin to snap away. Some of it falls to the floor, while the rest clings to my body like new skin. Even the air I breathe burns, making my insides boil. This isn't in my head. This is real. I'm burning. I flail into the darkness, running now. After a while, it feels like I'm practically gliding. I hear a sound and move toward it. Fucking help me, I utter, my voice raspy and light. Footsteps. There are several of them, and a bonfire. I see the silhouettes of people running, flailing about just like me. Panic everywhere. A woman, Genevieve Sanders, the mail carrier, is standing above the fire. A gun is in her hands. Salem's body is burning. And beside her is Auntie, face down, with a bloody hole in the back of her head. No. I pinch myself, trying to wake up. I pinch so hard I feel the scale on my arm split in half, and blood that seems like it's boiling pours from it. It quickly evaporates, and all that's left is a mark of reddish-pink flesh beneath. Scar tissue. I look up, and she's still standing there, mouth agape, like she's frozen, but her eyes follow me in real time. She sees me, but it's like she can't act. Why? Fucking why? I receive no answer from the horrified visage. She's still holding the gun. She'll do it again. She'll do it again. Stop her? Okay, stop her. I lunge, and it's like she's made of sand, flesh dissolving away beneath my claws as I touch her. And then it's like a rope wrapped around my waist, yanks me back. The wind is like sandpaper against my burning head as I fly through blurred shapes and silhouettes. What'd I do? Was that real? Oh God, Auntie. Jesus fuck, what's happening? Next thing I know, I'm in front of City Hall again, though everything's different. There's a crowd gathered around the large tree outside, and their clothes are all old-timey like. Men in suspenders, women in prairie blouses. Their faces are furious blurs, polygonal masses of fur and teeth that seem to exude their emotion more strongly than their distinct facial features. A Meseta Fennec stands upon a wooden stool with a noose wrapped around his neck, the priest next to him reading his last rites. The man is so angry, so hurt, tears like waterfalls down his matted yellow cheeks. Someone hurls a piece of hardtack that hits him square in the jaw, but he doesn't react. The cries of the crowd are obscured, distorted. Something about a child or children? There's a man at the edge of the crowd, a ram, the one the Fennec's staring at. He looks like Cole? The ram pivots on his hooves, turning to walk away, but stops when he sees me, his expression vacant. The Fennec shouts indiscernible hatred at the man, and just then the stool is kicked out from beneath him. As he sways, feet kicking and driblets of piss cascading down his overalls, it's as if the ground itself begins to bounce. It's something so palpable and awful that it's beyond words, that I can feel within my mind more readily than the burning of my flesh. The stony faces of the mob seem completely unaware of their actions are feeding something far greater than they'll ever know. I'm sucked away again, and feel my scales fall from my body like black and orange confetti. My thudding heartbeat is becoming increasingly irregular. I'm standing behind a shelf now. There's someone in a hoodie next to me, but he doesn't notice I'm here. He's got a camcorder. I think it's Salem? He's younger. A large bear, larger than me by a couple inches, steps out from what looks like the bathroom door. It's Brian, meth dealer who lives in a trailer on the outskirts of the old city limits. I see him at the smoke room sometimes. He deals there. Neither of them are looking in my direction, and I soon see why. There's a Fennec on what looks like a rack nearby. One of his eyeballs is gone, but he's still alive. On the television behind Brian, a slideshow of grotesque images flashes by, one of the Fennec's missing eye on the smoke room counter. It looks like the place was closed so nobody could walk in and see what they were doing. In the real world, the Fennec's words are garbled and distorted, as if coming from an old VHS. He's feigning love for the bear, asking for him to hold him tender, like instead of whatever else he has planned. The Fennec's face becomes increasingly blurry. Is that Danny? Casey? Keith? There were so many, they blur together. Salem's grinning, the reflection of his camcorder screen leaving a stark glint in his eyes. I feel myself move out from behind the shelf, beyond my own will. There's a rumbling pull in my gut. I'll be pulled away any moment now. Attack Brian, attack Salem, or put the Fennec out of his misery. Oh man, this whole thing's messed up. So are they making like some kind of weird torture porn thing? And we don't want none of this. So Brian's the aggressor. We'll go for him. Brian sees me, his eyes going as large as saucers. They're real. Is all we can get out before my hands pass through his gut. The hairy flesh seems like it practically disintegrates at my fingertips until I notice that it's all spattered on the wall beside me. As I'm pulled away, I can just make out the tusked, smiling face of Salem. It's full of shock, but the smile remains, and so does the maimed Fennec. I gasp into the void, the fresh blood mixing with my own. My actions no longer feel entirely of my own volition. It's like something's pulling in my skull. Like back at City Hall, when I condemned Chase. We make the justice we're given. I popped back in front of the familiar random salamander, like all that had happened was some horrible vision. But my body feels the same, and the gaping expressions of the duo show no signs of relief. Car. I can barely make out the noises with my throat the way it is. I can practically feel my vocal cords snap away as I speak, letting me only exude a guttural growl. I reach out to him, seeing the sinewy red appendage my arm has become. Ah! The tunnel shakes around me. Carl and Dax both turn and flee, Salamander screaming his absolute lungs out. I'm terrifying to them. As they're about to round the corner, I see Carl hesitate. He looks back to me. I can't see his expression, and I can't call out to him. I have to let him know I'm still here. With some strained effort, I turn my wrist around and close all but one of my fingers. The round continues to stare as the rumbling increases. I'm pulled away once more. It goes on like this. At each stop, I lose more of myself mentally and physically. Each visage that appears before me, some new, unspeakable evil I hadn't fathomed existing. From time to time, I let the thing inside my head take more and more control. Sometimes I don't have the control in the first place when the suffering's the strongest. Where Sam thrives, he drives. Like my body, I become numb. All but my vision and hearing is gone, and they're swiftly fading too. I keep closing my eyes, waiting for it to end, but it doesn't. I can't die. I hear the soft pitter of feet on a rocky embankment. Somewhere down the way, stones are being skipped. Someone threw in a big one, and then sniffling, followed by a low sob. Crying's become so familiar to me, I hear it more than anything else, it feels like. It's like singing, isn't it? Purest expression of emotion. Fuck you. But this one's more familiar. To me as well. I can just make out the audible sound of little pebbles rolling down a hill, followed by a heavy thud. I turn to see a faint grey silhouette with big blue eyes. What? The voice hits me like electricity. This is it. I'm what he saw that day, on the beach by the outlet. Finally. He screams. They always scream. I have to follow him. I have to see it. I descend beneath the waves, and I see excess fat drift from my body into the tidal current. The water's abrasive, but I'm able to glide through it, swimming without swimming. Something pops, and suddenly I can't see from my left eye. There's white water ahead, thrashing movement. A slight bit of reddish-pink mist dissolves in the current in front of me. No, no! I strain myself to hear, trying to keep absolutely still. But other than the faint occasional splash, there's nothing. Eventually, the splashing stops, and I know my best friend is dead. I rest in the current, and the voice in my mind is fortuitously silent, not pressing me into movement or action. And though my eyesight is gone and my skull punctured by nothing but empty sockets and orifices, I see something. Bright blue eyes and starry skin. It's Daxton. I'm sure of it. He does not move, though I can read the intent in his eyes that he very much wants to. Instead, he remains motionless, and we stare at each other. I imagine speaking to him, telling him what's happened to me. My words are rambling, my mind not what it used to be, but it doesn't seem to matter. He meets my gaze regardless. I ask him if Cole's alright, and of course he doesn't respond. I then simply state that I hope he's okay. I go on and tell him about all the crap the Ram and I have been through, and about how much I hope he fucking makes it out decently enough. I'm sure they'll give him another shot at the interview on account of town-wide madness. I tell him I hope it's over now, wherever he is. And finally, I apologise for what an absolute arse I was to him, when he deserved goddamn none of my angsty bullshit. He never shows any indication of understanding, or even blinking. Most surprisingly of all, it feels as though hours pass and the hysteria simply holds on, whisking me away. No rumbling, no fire, no screeches into sudden chaos. Just a slow, eventual feeling of drifting away, somewhere else, somewhere dry. There's the telltale sound of a hot water heater rumbling nearby. It's humming away. Someone must be taking a shower, or it's laundry day. I feel the vibrations more than I actually hear the thing. And then a faint whimper. The sound is stifled, as if the upset individual is trying to hold back tears. It's high-pitched, feminine, a girl. The distortion is only slight. I bring my hand up and feel wooden slats, and when I push harder, the whole surface blends and folds outward. It's a closet door. And the sniffling stops. Slowly, I hold up my hand and do a small wave, gentle movements, as I'm sure the distortion is making it look faster. It's quiet. All I can hear is the water heater in the girl's room. There's the shuffling of sheets, then small footsteps. Hi. Her voice is timid. There's another long pause. Are you real? I think for a moment. Then slowly, I shake my head. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. Oh, okay. That is the ending of Flynn's route. Okay, so at the end there, it seems to be that Flynn was the monster. Like the socket face monster. And I'm guessing the implication there is that that was Jenna. That was the child in the bedroom. So not only did we go back and forward through past history, we went to more recent history with how Sid died. There are still mysteries as to the exact situation and how kind of like Sid's death came to be. But it's all intertwined and it all layers on top of each other. But Flynn being the monster, that's a hell of a thing. Go to the menu or stay a while? Okay, we'll stay. 5 years later. Seriously, this is going to be such a fucking good time. You'll be glad you came. The big grizzly bear nudges the coyote playfully, almost knocking the canine into the passenger window. Wow, keep your paws on the wheel, or your paw at least. Cameron eyes the giant half-eaten burger in the bear's equally giant paw. Dev's other paw casually steers the wheel, elbow resting out through the open window. The bear looks happier than he's been in a while, somehow grinning as he chews. The coyote sighs and stares out his own window, watching the desert landscape fly by. It was nothing like this in his hometown, and he found himself wishing he was back amongst the pine forests. Something he'd been wishing since he moved to Pueblo for school. Technically, this was his natural habitat, but he found the whole place depressing somehow. Empty and dry and rough. What you pouting for? I'm not pouting. Yeah, you are. Cameron sighs, deciding to change the subject. So, why couldn't Larry go again? I don't know. Says something about his car breaking down. I think he just flaked though. Aren't there other haunted places in Pueblo that we could have gone to, like by the school? The bear shakes his head, letting go of the wheel to crumple up the foil that had packaged his sandwich, tossing it into the back. Not like Echo, dude. This place is the most haunted town in the entire fucking world. Cameron sighs once again, then suddenly grasps his seat as the car swerves and turns hard onto a smaller road, heading toward a big blue lake. What the fuck? Whoops, sorry, almost missed the turn. The drive continues, and eventually the map on the dash chimes, indicating that they've reached their destination. Why? Because a lot of shit happened here. The grizzly hops out of the car, making the entire thing tilt sideways as he squeezes his bulk out before reaching back in for the camera bag. He takes out a small compact camcorder from inside and wraps it around his wrist. He flicks the switch and Cameron sees the familiar red recording light flashing. He points the lens at the coyote and he quickly covers his face, letting out a frustrated sigh. I'm not the horror you're after, Dev. With that, he unbuckles and slides out of the car. The bear waits for him, reaching out a large padded paw. Cameron takes it and is immediately drawn into a tight embrace and a kiss. The coyote tenses up for a moment and then waits until Devon releases him. Can you not do that right after you eat a big greasy hamburger? Cameron makes a big show of wiping his lips, and Devon rolls his eyes. No pleasing you, is there? Nevertheless, the grizzly holds out his paw again, and Cameron takes it, the two of them walking toward the town centre. It's not a pleasant walk. Most of the infrastructure is in pretty shoddy condition, overgrown in places with sagebrush and dry vegetation. So, where are we meeting this guy? I told you, the old civic building. Wait, you mean City Hall? Cameron recalls the late night rants with Devon over the phone, the bear recalling every last detail of the incident. Where they shot the mayor? Yep. The coyote releases his paw from the large clawed grip of his boyfriend, peering up at him with slightly wider eyes. Damn, are you absolutely sure he's okay with this? I mean, yeah. Look, he's the one who did the report on this town after the happening in the first place. Devon tries to put on a reassuring smile. He seems keenly aware that folks sometimes find his large predator grin unnerving, but Cameron always told him it was cute. And he's gay, so, you know. The bear rewraps his paw around Cameron's own. No need to be worried about that. Eventually, the two reach the old town centre. Sure enough, there's a man standing in the gravel parking lot with his paws in his pockets. He doesn't appear to notice the two at first, and Devon takes the opportunity to film him from afar. The sun's behind him, so it casts his front in shadowed silhouette, giving him an eerie visage which he might be able to use in the video. The civic building's roof is fully collapsed. A faded grey tarp over the top of the walls is all that's protecting the interior. Like most of the structures they passed on the way in, a laminated notice of condemnation stamped with the county seal is posted to the front door. After about 15 seconds or so, it's fairly clear the older guy is aware of the two college kids' presence as he casts his head in their direction. They quickly shuffle up, wearing sheepish smiles and already sweat-stained clothing. Chase? Yo. Hey. The bearded otter seems to be looking at their held paws, which they quickly unclasp and shake his own in turn. He offers them a sort of melancholy smile. You two been together long? Oh, sorta. The coyote rubs the back of his neck, the bear wrapping an arm around his shoulder. Yeah, a while. Must have been tough growing up in the sticks out here, for a gay guy especially. Chase lets out a little amused grunt, reaching into his pocket and withdrawing a pack of cigarettes. I guess. I mean, I did have a boyfriend growing up here for a while. I friggin' lucked out there. If I recall, he was the one who helped you out during the incident, right? Leon? Leo. Right. He quickly nods, muttering something about how he should have known that before adjusting the camera on his shoulder. How's he doing? I dunno, doesn't really talk to me anymore. Oh, well, regardless, must have been tough being the only gay kids out here growing up. He sniffs, looking off to the side. You'll mind if I smoke? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, plenty of fresh air out here, I don't mind. The otter nods, sticking the cigarette between his lips and flicking his lighter. However, he doesn't bring the flame up, instead just holding it out in front of him. The seconds pass, and slowly he shifts the lighter in the direction of the old civic building. Cameron and Devon watch the otter expectantly. After everything he's been through, some oddball behaviour is to be expected after all. So, I'm a big fan of your original report that you did. Hell, I did my own little video on what happened when I was first starting my channel. I know, you used a lot of my footage. Devon begins to look a little nervous, laughing some to try and lighten the mood. I credited you, of course. I'm just some haunting vlogger. You're like a professional journalist and everything. Chase finally lights his cigarette. Was a professional journalist. I got pushed out on my reporting gig with the KGUA like 2 years ago now. No one likes my stuff anymore. No matter what I did, it wasn't ever as good as that piece I finished in college. Devon blinks. Oh, sorry to hear that. He pauses, thinking to himself for a moment. You know, those news media companies are all fascist shit factories anyway. Dev. Without all that big billionaire funding, they'd be going the way of the dinosaurs, relegated to sports and weather for senior citizens. Chase stares blankly up at the much taller bear, unsure of how to respond to that. And Devon clears his throat. And, your social media profile said that you were still, I haven't updated that in a while. Ah. Chase takes a long drag from his cigarette, stopping at the first speed bump. He seems to become increasingly aware of the uneasy stares from the two college kids in front of him. Sorry, it's been a difficult few years for me. The statement from the otter makes sense, looking at him now. He's awfully haggard for someone in his mid to late 20s, his facial scruff untrimmed and the dye job looking less than stellar. Cameron can't help but think he'd be kinda cute if he cleaned himself up a bit. Or perhaps he just has a thing for sad eyes. Said sad eyes were fixated upon the civic building now, Chase's lips stinging tightly around his cigarette, squeezing ash from the tip. The coyote steps up, placing a paw on the otter's shoulder. Hey, it's okay. We don't want to put any pressure on you. Right, Dev? Right. Devon sounds genuinely supportive. Chase can see why Cameron might be so taken with him. It would be nice to have something like that again, and he finds himself relishing the paw on his shoulder. He didn't realise how he was so touch-starved. Still, Chase can't help but avoid their reassuring gazes, the otter rubbing at the old spider bite mark on his neck. Let's, begin, shall we? The trio begins to head northward, past the burnt-out newer buildings that went up in smoke during the hysteria. Devon finds an odd-looking globe broken in the middle of the road. Cameron offers to carry it with them, though Devon seems rather adamant about not looting anything. Chase doesn't appear to care either way. Eventually they arrive on the outskirts of the nearby mine, warning signs posted damn near everywhere. It looks like barbed wire fencing had started being erected along the main entrance. though Chase mentions the county gave up on trying to fully enclose it a couple of months ago after folk kept cutting through it. So, there's more than one entrance to the mine here, but they're all barred off now. I mean, the main entrance was locked up tight even before the crap show 5 years ago. Devon sets up his tripod, pointing it toward the black void between the rocks. This is where they found the bodies? Chase shakes his head. That was off the side entrance in the A level. This is the main entrance. It goes all the way from A to F level. How deep's that? Yeah, it depends. The deepest shaft goes down 1900 feet. Jeez. Chase holds up his hands, gesturing behind him. It's been like half a century since the mine's been active, so rotting supports and the like most certainly have caved in most of it. Devon nods, a tight frown crossing the bear's broad muzzle. It's clear he's got something on his mind. What about, that one guy? Huh? The mayor's nephew. I've read the reports and all, but what's your take on what happened? Chase hesitates for a moment, not having expected the question, or at least hoping it wouldn't have come up at all. The otter steps back, bringing his fingertips up to the bars of the mine. He touches them and the cave wall that they're embedded in. He draws back and shows the two his blackened fingertips. The cave is scorched. Well, the theory is there was flammable gases that were ignited in the lowest levels. It created this sustained burn that started billowing smoke up in the air for a couple of weeks after the whole happening. Yeah, I know that, but why did he walk inside while it was like that? You were one of the last people to see him after all. And those other two, they said they couldn't stop him after you left. Chase looks away, staring off into space. He says nothing, and soon Devon and Cameron are exchanging nervous glances with one another. Next thing they know, the otter's walking off without another word. Wait, hold on. He swears under his breath, Cameron looking on with crossed arms as Chase heads toward his car. Ah, fuck. He's not gonna... Oh damn, he totally is. The hell? Devon whines. Fuck, I was being insensitive, wasn't I? You never know when you're gonna strike a nerve with these kinds of things. These kinds of things. What do you mean? Devon quirks a curious brow toward the coyote, though judging by his grimaced reaction, Cam regrets bringing it up and doesn't speak further. They hear the sound of an engine starting in the distance. Devon sighs. Good thing we brought our jeep instead of riding with him, right? Fuck. Cameron frowns, reaching up and holding the big guy's arm. Hey, don't worry, I'll get the camera. Exploring on our own could be pretty cool, right? The bear's nostrils flare in a hefty exhale. Yeah, I'll pull the jeep around. Cameron gives Devon a thumbs up before moving to grab the camera. As he's about to close the viewfinder display, he notices a green square appear in the centre of the frame. He leans down to look more closely, pressing the display adjust button. Face detection disabled. The square vanishes. What? Wait, so it recognised that there was a face? He hits the button again. The square returns. That's weird. He flicks the switch on the side to auto-white balance the image. The whole screen flashes as the lens adjusts, and as it comes into focus... Fuck! A lizard stands in the darkness behind the bars, but he can't stare, not really, because his eyes are gone and half of his muzzle's missing. Cameron jumps back, tripping over rocks and landing against the sharp edges. The coyote hisses in pain, but fear spurs him on, trying to scramble up the rocks after Devon. The bear's already turned around though, reaching down to pull Cameron up. Shit, you alright? What happened? As Cameron clings to the large bear, he looks back, but nothing's there. I don't know, I saw a... Devon looks in the same direction, squinting. Cameron stares a while longer, and then turns back and shakes his head against Dev's chest. When Cameron looks up at the bear, he's grinning though. Holy shit, did you see a ghost? The coyote scowls. What? No, I just thought I saw something. It was probably the camera glitching out. The bear gives him a knowing smile. What? You're gonna be a believer by the end of this, I know it. The grizzly hugs him tightly as Cameron frowns, still looking back at the cavern's entrance. It had been so real. But before he can really collect himself, Devon is putting him and the camera along, back to the jeep. Oh man, poor old Flynn. But we did make it to the end. It was mildly traumatising, but we know that's how it works with this game. And I hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully, maybe I'll check out another route quite soon. This is Usho signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.